Hey guys, this is Camfrey15. I am back at it with another video for you guys, and I am back with some more Clippers game recaps. And our Clippers did not get trapped game like they almost did in the Rockets game, and they managed to beat the Detroit Pistons in a pretty, I would say, nice effort near the end. And it effectively ends the homestand for the Clippers, which I believe was 9 games, where they finished the homestand, I believe 7-2, if I can count up the W's. Yes. Let me count up the W's. I gotta count up the W's. Because we should have had a nice homestand. Yeah, 1, 2. No, that the Spurs game doesn't count. You're away. I know, I'm so bad at this. Alright, I got the homestand. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 2 wins. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we finished the road trip 7-2. Or the whole road trip. The homestand 7-2, with the only losses coming to the Denver Nuggets and the Orlando Magic, which should have never happened as a loss. Because if that had happened, we would have finished the homestand 8-1, and what I think would be an excellent homestand. I think this is a pretty good homestand record we got here. 7-2, I'll take it. Should have been 8-1. If we had finished the homestand 8-1, which honestly, before the homestand started, it was one of the most key stretches, But if you tell me back, then before the homestand, you say, hey, you're gonna finish the homestand 7-2. If you tell me the teams that we lose to, I'd be like, oh. Yeah, the Magic loss hurts a bit, but it's not as bad. The Denver Nuggets loss, I can understand. But other than that, I would have taken the record. And I know I didn't talk about the last 2 games, which were the Suns game and the Rockets game. I'll go quickly talk about the Suns game. Definitely liked what I saw to the Suns game, especially late in that game. Kawhi's poster was heavens, good heavens, that was a thing of beauty, which Paul George kind of copied Kawhi tonight, because he had a posterized dunk in the Detroit Pistons game, but had a nice, the Clippers won that game, and we ended up doing it against a very tough Suns team that didn't seem to want to go away, even though they were on a back-to-back. It's almost damn near similar to the damn Detroit Pistons tonight. So that was good. The only problem out of the outcome of that game was Patrick Beverley is now hurt again, which, wonderful. The dude plays 2 games and now he's already out with a fractured hand. He's going to be essentially be out 3 to 4 weeks, which means, guess what? Just sit him until the fucking playoffs, only for him to potentially get hurt in the playoffs. I already see it coming. He's going to come back and then he's going to get hurt in the playoffs. They said he fractured his hand just securing a rebound. This man is made out of glass. You cannot be kidding me. Even him securing a rebound hurts him. Yeah, the time is ticking for Mr. Patrick Beverley. He's going to be traded from the Clippers to whatever team that wants him. If not, they want more assets for a Patrick Beverley. Honestly, I just say keep him. I'd rather just trade Patrick Beverley alone by himself. I wouldn't give no teams no picks, no extra players, nothing. And if no team takes him, then keep him on your roster, because his contract will end next year. And then guess what? You can walk away from that contract. Or you can walk away from him and be like, well, it was nice knowing you, Pat Bev. You were great to the Clippers and everything, but you get hurt too much. Again, the same famous statement of the fact that, guess what? Pat Beverly, you can't rely on him. Again, the one thing I do like about this stretch now, especially now that we got Rondo, is the fact that now the team, I feel like, is much better because now you get players that haven't really been playing. And guess what? You know, you finally do that and you don't need a Patrick Beverly, really. And the team, guess what? It's only going to help them in the playoffs because if Patrick Beverly ever is hurt or he's out of a playoff round, I guess, you don't have to be like, the one thing we Clipper fans can say, well, guess what? You know, if it was for Patrick Beverly, we would have won the game or we would have won the series. Now we can't make that excuse because the Clippers have been playing well enough without a Patrick Beverly. So I'm not going to use an excuse. This playoff round, I'm not using excuses. If the Clippers lose again in the second round, I'm going to be pissed. Like, this team has everything in its way going for them to get to the conference finals. Honestly, at this point, I just want to get to the conference finals. That's my thing. If we get to the finals, I say that's an added bonus. If we somehow win the finals, I will take that, and I'll be like, guess what? I don't care what the Clippers do ever going on from the point till the end of my life. As long as I can say the Clippers, I saw a Clippers championship and we have it, that's it. Honestly, it would only, for me as a Clipper fan, I would only need one just to be satisfied, because that would probably be the one and only trophy that would mean the most. It's like, it would be like the Toronto Raptors, the Cleveland Cavaliers trophy, where it's like, well, guess what? They wouldn't have to go back. They wouldn't care about their history. They obviously care about their team, but, you know, it'd be like, you know what? We still got our trophy at the end of the day. And I can look back at that year and be like, you know what? You got that trophy. That's all that matters. And that should be with any pro sports team, because winning a championship in any sport is hard. And if you just win one, even if it's by the luckiest means, you'll take it. But yeah, Patrick Beverly's hurt. We also signed Malik Fitz to a 10-day contract, as well as Yogi Ferrell to a 10-day contract. I don't know what this means for Boogie Cousins. Again, Boogie Cousins, for some reason, DeMarcus Cousins did not play in this game, which is more than likely leading me to believe that the Clippers might not give him a second 10-day contract or even sign him for the rest of the season. Because for some odd reason, Patterson has come in more than DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins has come in only 2 games. And after that, we kind of haven't seen him. He didn't come at all in the Suns game, and he didn't come at all in tonight's game. He only really came in the Trailblazers game and the Rockets game for a bit. So I'm wondering, you know, well, if we're not going to use Cousins, what's the fucking point of signing him? And again, I said it in my DeMarcus Cousins 10-day contract video. I said, you know, hey, if it doesn't work out for him, it doesn't work out for him, and we're going to just move on, and it's fine, because it's a 10-day contract. The thing that irritates me most about the contract, about signing the contract, is we're not using him at all. I just said we only used him in 2 games compared to the 4 games we signed him for the homestand. And it's like, well, what's the point in signing him if we're not going to play him? Especially if we're giving Patterson moments. I'm done seeing Patrick Patterson. I thought DeMarcus Cousins was here to get a look at, to see will he be productive till Serge gets out. Now, if anything, if he's not playing, that might be an indication Serge is close to coming back. That mother effer needs to hurry up and get back. I'm sorry. He needs to get back. They're making it seem like this guy's got a broken back. Again, I say with all these phantom injuries, that's what I'm calling it, phantom injuries. The only legit guys that have injuries are Patrick Beverly and Paul George with his toe. But everybody else who's always sitting out or always hurt has phantom injuries. I believe Ibaka's fine. They panned him. They showed him on the freaking camera screen today on the broadcast, and he looks fine to me. Why is he not playing? Stop this sitting players out bullshit and put these guys in and play. This guy had a sore back, and they're making it seem like the guy freaking tweaked it or freaking strained his back or something. If he strained his back, please tell in the freaking medical report Serge Ibaka has come down with a strained back. Instead of saying, oh, he's got lower back tightness or lower back soreness or whatever. What, is his back spazzing out on him? Again, phantom injuries. The next game we up, the Houston Rockets game. In the first half, from what I remember the game, we were not playing really good at all. Like, there was a point we were getting blown out by the Houston Rockets, and I was getting fucking pissed. And I'm like, we're really going to lose to the Houston Rockets. And mind you, this is on a back-to-back game after the Suns game. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Then, the Clippers have a quarter. I believe it was the second quarter, where the Clippers essentially go on a huge run. I believe it was, I'm trying to remember. It was a 30-plus run, and they held freaking Houston to like 7 points, essentially. It was a 41-7 run. And essentially, that kind of gave the Clippers a major lead in the game where they could hold it and maintain it. They did a pretty solid job in the third quarter. I didn't watch all of that fourth quarter, to be honest. I really did not. Because I was actually making another YouTube video at the time. But when I checked, they had won the game, so I'm guessing they had a solid fourth quarter. Reggie Jackson that game was clutch. Kawhi Leonard was clutch again in that game. And yeah. So now let's get to this game. The Detroit Pistons game, which could also be called another bona fide trap game. And the reason why this was a trap game and why I felt like, especially during the game, because I was getting pissed, because for literally 3.5 quarters, the Clippers defense was ass. Like, complete garbage, trash. Getting murked by Josh Jackson and Corey Joseph and the fucking Pistons. What? Like, we were not playing no defense at all. The Detroit Pistons got whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, in 3.5 quarters. And I'm just over here sitting here, I'm like, this is an embarrassing performance on defense. You guys are just really gonna let Josh Jackson and Corey Joseph beat you guys? Like, I literally made a tweet that said that. I'm like, you're really gonna let these two beat you guys? Like, Josh Jackson, dude was almost out of the league. He goes back home, and guess what? Oh, of course, if it's against the Clippers, you're gonna ball against them. You know? Making these freaking scrub bum players on the Detroit Pistons look like world beaters. Again, credit to them. They made the Clippers work to get this W. I'll take it. I'll take it. If you're telling me the team's gonna fight hard against the Clippers, I'll take it. But at some point, you gotta know who you're up against. I know Detroit's, plays hard, but it's Detroit. They haven't done nothing. The last big thing they done was cut Blake Griffin. And their Detroit Pistons fans can't seem to get over the fact that he's dunking all over the place like Lob City Blake Griffin. And they still, in their freaking feelings, that, oh, guess what? Why did he never dunk for us? Anyways, that was the whole thing. And I'm just sitting back and I'm like, we're going to lose this game if this keeps up. If we do not change, majorly on defense, we're going to lose this game. And talk about a missed opportunity if that's the case. Because if you didn't know, and if you were living under a rock, my friend who is a Boston Celtics fan, because he lives in New Hampshire, yes, shout out to you, Mr. Matt Swarmstead, if you're listening to the video. His Celtics did us Clipper fans and the team a favor by finally beating the Denver Nuggets that seem to go on a tear, an undefeated tear since they signed Aaron Gordon. And, guess what? They beat us. They beat the Nuggets for us. I'm like, good. That gives the Nuggets 19 losses and we have 18 losses. It would be 17 if we never lost to the damn freaking Orlando Magic. So guess what? We'd have been 2 losses up on the Denver Nuggets, if not losing that Magic game. I think I would have been much more comfortable in that position. Anyways, we're trying to lock up the 2nd or 3rd seed, whatever we need to take to lock up either of those seeds, because I definitely do not want to get the 4th or 5th seed. Anyways, going on, the Celtics did the Clippers a favor and they beat the Nuggets. And I'm like, okay, now we got 1 loss up on the Nuggets. The Clippers got to do their job and win. And essentially, we got to make sure we continuously win and hope the Nuggets start losing some games. So you can see at the time, when I was looking at the time we got to halftime, I'm like, we're going to lose this game. And we're going to spoil a grand opportunity that was given to us. The Nuggets lose. And if we lose this game, we're going to be evened up in losses again with the Denver Nuggets, where you're going to have me stressed out now because I'm like, we can't afford this loss. We can't afford to lose, especially with Denver. Now, us Clipper fans can breathe a sigh of relief from the aspect of saying, now that Denver's lost, I'm not saying, guess what? I'm not saying like, oh, it's done deal. We locked up the 3rd seed. But hey, if you have an off night and you're still a 1 loss up on Denver, you can potentially, have a loss and do it. Now, I think we play Denver one more time. You can't afford to lose to Denver again. That's the one question. So I think the next time we play Denver, which I believe is in late April / early May, we got to beat those guys. We have to beat those guys because I think because if we beat them, we'll definitely get the tiebreaker over them, and stuff like that. So they won't be higher on us, in the seeding. So yeah. But yeah, I'm like, okay, listen, the team needs to step up and play major defense, like big time defense, where we're locking the Pistons down. And in that 3rd quarter, more of the same happened. The Pistons got whatever they wanted, and they were starting to hit very tough shots when we played pretty quality defense. They were starting to hit the fadeaway shots. Like, Josh Jackson was hitting fadeaway shots. I'm like, dude, he never hits these shots in his life. And all of a sudden, he's hitting those shots. We had Bay freaking pulling up from 3, like, with defenders in his face, still making it. And I'm like, well, great. The Clippers gave this team confidence, and now we're screwed, and we might end up losing this game. And lo and behold, the run for the Clippers happened late in the 3rd quarter. And essentially, them making that run throughout the late 3rd, quarter into the 4th quarter, to the point they eventually take the lead and essentially, break Lawler's law tonight, because the Pistons had 100 points, in the 4th quarter, at one point in the 4th quarter, before we did. And we broke the law. So I guess Lawler's law worked in favor of the Pistons. But we ended up coming back, winning. Paul George and Marcus Morris had big 3rd quarters. They had big 3rd quarters, which Marcus Morris, he had 32 points, which was 32 or 33 points tonight. Honestly, he drove to the rim a lot more than I've seen him in past, instead of being a spot-up shooter. Again, you can thank his little mini-time stint in New York, being able to have him be a player where he can isolate for his own self. Thank goodness, because before the New York stuff, he was kind of just a spot-up 3-point shot player. Now, when he had his little stint with New York, he became to learn how to ISO and be kind of a number 1 scorer on a team. Well, he definitely helped us with the points he got in Paul George again. He's been phenomenal the last, few games. This game, the Suns game, and the Trailblazers game. And it's starting to look like that toe might not be much of a problem as we thought it would be. It might be starting to clear up and might be, less painful for Paul George. Again, still take that injury with a supreme caution and stuff like that. And hey, like I said, if it wasn't for Paul George's 30 and Marcus Morris's 30 points, we would have lost this game. Rondo, again, continues to shut up the Clipper fan haters, or the Clipper reporter haters, who still hate on the Rondo trade because, we lost Lou Williams. He was a plus 22 with 10 points, had another clutch 3 like he did in the Suns game, and had 6 assists. Yeah, you guys can suck it. If you ever watched WWE DX, suck it. Funny enough, they had WrestleMania tonight, so I watched that and a little bit of the Clippers game and stuff like that. But again, continues to impress people, and it's funny because after that Suns game, I saw so many people now freaking realize, oh shit, Rondo actually is doing good for us, and he's actually helping us. And you see these guys come out and finally apologize. I ain't gonna specify names. I'm not, out of respect to them and respect to myself, because I don't want to call them out. But guess what? You can pinky promise me if the Clippers end up winning championship this year, I will talk about it, and then I will literally call out the people who ripped the Rondo moves. Each and every one of them. Not all of them, but most of the bigger names out there. And they know who they are. They know who they are. I will call them out. And if their fans come to my channel blocking me about stop ripping on him and we have some sort of beef, fine by me. I'm all about the beef because guess what? I'll be the first person to say, oh no, you have no right to say what you said. You said, guess what? Making Rondo come here was going to be bad. But guess what? He's doing more and impacting the team more this year than Lou Williams ever did this year. So stop again. I'm on with the whole Clipper fans of terms of Rondo. Stop being so damn sentimental about Lou Williams. Move on. Lou Williams moved on. We need to move on. It's like all the other times we have to move on from the Chris Pauls, the DeAndre Jordans, the Blake Griffins, the Tobias Harris, yada, yada, yada. We're so quick to move on from Montrezl Harrell because guess what? He's a detriment to us in the playoffs last year. We were so quick to move on from that guy, but we're not so quick to move on from Lou Williams, even though everybody was knowing Lou Williams was hurting the team. And Rondo, in his short stint with the Clippers, has actually helped the team more than lose. Listen, he doesn't put the most impressive stats, but clearly him being on the floor helps his team, and they play better with him on the floor anyways. So, I rest my point to you Rondo haters. Suck it and deal with it. Because guess what? If the Clippers do end up winning a championship this year, you're going to be all over Rondo's dick now. Anyways, the Clippers won it pretty impressively. They came back on all cylinders. They hit a lot of clutch shots, like Terrence Mann hitting his clutch three to tie the game up at 101. You know, again, Rondo hitting the three to make the score, which was getting close to make us have 123 points. Batum was clutch in that fourth quarter with some of his three-point shots, even one that was at first taken away and then finally given back to him. Don't know what's up with that. And stuff like that. Again, you know, Paul George playing clutch type of Paul George stuff, which again, I need to say this, and I've said it before in my past videos, I'll say it again. If Paul George is consistently going to be giving me 25 to damn near 30 points alongside what Kawhi is doing, and as well as the team is firing on all cylinders, and they're hitting shots, and they're playing great defense, I don't see how this team cannot be a legit contender. Again, the cards are to play right for the Clippers to win the championship this year. But if they play like they've been playing, where Paul George is hitting on all cylinders, he's like A+ Paul George. Kawhi, we know what Kawhi is about. The other guys, the supporting cast, they're doing their jobs. Playing quality defense, hitting timely shots, you know, moving the ball around, facilitating, yada yada, everything we can say positive about this Clippers team. They can win the championship, and they can beat that Brooklyn Nets team, even with their big three, because, you know, the Lakers did it. Well, they didn't beat their big three, but they still beat the Nets yesterday. They did that without LeBron. You know, you can say, well, they didn't have their full team. You know, Kyrie got ejected. Regardless, Durant should be good enough. And then, you know, they held freaking Blake Griffin to 2 points, LaMarcus Aldridge to damn near 10 points. I'm like, I'm expecting you guys to do better. So, yeah, that's my only thing with the Nets. I feel like injuries are going to hurt them too. And we're just going to have to see when it comes to those guys. But, yeah, but I thought it was a pretty solid win for the Clippers. Big win. And the Clippers are now one, I guess, loss up on the Denver Nuggets. Hopefully the Denver Nuggets lose more games because that would make me more comfortable and stuff like that. So next up, we got a road trip. If I look at the schedule, our next matchup is Tuesday on TNT. Hopefully I can watch the local broadcast because I do not like watching TNT at all. Is against the Pacers. What an odd game to put on fucking TNT. Now that I think about it, that's such an odd game. Why would you make that a nationally televised game? Clippers versus Pacers on TNT? Sometimes I don't even know what these guys put on. Then we play the Pistons again on a back-to-back. Oh God. So what is it gonna be? You know, Paul George sits out this Pistons game and you got Kawhi going up against the Pistons this time? Then, which I feel like could be a very tough game, is gonna be the game against the 76ers. And by that time, we'll probably only still have one center. Then we go to a home game. Then we go back to the home game against the first home game with fans in the arena against the Timberwolves. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get back up in Staples. I've already been to an Angel game this year in person, and that was probably one of the best Angel games I've been to, if not the best Angel game I've been to in my life, because they walked it off. I want to see a Clippers game because I've seen a Clippers game. I've been to a Clippers game, you know, pre-Lob City. I've been to a Clippers preseason game when Blake Griffin was first a Clipper, so I've seen Blake Griffin play. I've been to a Lob City game. Blake Griffin sat out that game because he was hurt, but I got to see Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan play that game against the Rockets. Shockingly enough, that was when Harden was still on the team, so I guess I saw Harden play. In that game, we won that game too. And long story short, if you guys don't know a backstory, last year, earlier, like around March/April, I was on my spring break from school, and I came out here to California from Connecticut. And I had pre-bought me Clippers tickets to go see the Clippers play. And I was really happy because I'm like, I'm great. I had my blue shoes, my Kawhi jersey, my Clippers hat. I was ready to go to see Kawhi and Paul George Clippers era basketball. And then that's when the pandemic happened, and that's when the world shut down because of obviously the virus. And I missed the chance to see the Clippers. And ever since then, I was so pissed. Like, so pissed. And now, the fact that I have a chance to catch them and make up for what happened that game, or that time last year. You know, even though this team gives me stress, aneurysms, I'm just glad to say that if I get the chance to drive to Los Angeles, get back into Staples Center, and just watch this team play in person. Because this will be my first time I get to see Kawhi and Paul George play in person, in Clipper uniforms. That would mean the most to me. Now, I still want a championship at the end of the day. I still want to get past the second round at the end of the day. But that would mean the most to me, and it will make up for what I freaking missed last year because of the damn virus. But hopefully, you know, I'm able to do that. And if I do, maybe I'll make a vlog about that and post it to the channel. Probably not, because I'll be too focused, you know, winning the game, focusing on the game, because that's how I'm doing it. But the Clippers won against the Pistons. We're going to start a road trip, a 3-game road trip, and then the next home game is going to be with fans, finally. It's so good to see that fans are finally being back in the building, even if it's at limited capacity. Like, I went to an Angels game, like I said earlier in this video, and it still sounded like there was 40,000 people in that stadium. Like, even at limited capacity, and Angel Stadium filled up to 13 to 14, I think 15,000 people in it. Nice socially distanced event, and you know, it still sounded like there's 40,000 people up in the building. And I felt like the same thing will happen, and I feel like the Clippers will definitely feed off the fans' energy, which I think is going to be very much needed for this team going forward. But anyways, I'm gonna get out for guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you try this video. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.